Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining the Sandusky City Schools as we provide this virtual community forum and give you an update on the status of our planning for the upcoming school year, and specifically tonight talk about the reentry plans for the district, at least the preliminary plans, which we're using tonight to get your feedback on. I'm Dr. Eugene Sanders. I am the Chief Executive Officer and Superintendent for Sandusky City Schools. I'm delighted to be with you this evening. Later on, you will be hearing from two of my chiefs. You'll be hearing from Dr. Sturgill, Dr. Stephen Sturgill, who will provide an overview of some of our logistical and application issues with regard to our reentry. And then Dr. Cade, Dr. Valicia Cade, will provide an overview of our curriculum and instructional design practices for our proposed reentry work. My task tonight is to provide a context and overview of where we're at with our planning. And I'd like to start out this evening by sharing out with you, one, that you'll have an opportunity to give us questions in real time. We'll use the majority of our time this evening in a Q&A format. So please feel free to jot down your questions in real time on Facebook. And after our short presentations, we'll begin to walk through those questions and then respond to any remaining questions that are there. Our Chief Financial Officer and Treasurer is also with us this evening. And if there are any financial related questions, he'll be more than happy to respond to those. Before you make any key decision as big as the reentry plans for our Sandusky City Schools, you start out with a set of core principles or core values, the kind of things that you measure your plan against. And so we set out 10 very specific criteria or perspectives, if you will, considerations and priorities as it relates to the kind of plan that we would propose. Those priorities include the following: a focus on safety and sanitation factors for students, staff, and parents. Social emotional well-being. We're very concerned about how our kids are doing, how our faculty is doing. Dr. Cade will elaborate on some of our social emotional strategies this evening. We'll also talk to you tonight about technology. Technology was another key variable in our decision-making in terms of what the reentry proposal would be. Of course, technology as it relates to driving academic success. We utilized 6 feet of distance as our social distancing guideline. We also considered obviously budget and cost as it relates to the plan that we will ultimately implement. Another core priority and variable is facilities and the usage of those facilities and the maintenance associated with those facilities. We also looked at number 7, transportation and cafeteria standards, how our students will transition on the bus and in the cafeteria. And Dr. Sturgill, in his presentation, will talk about some of the logistical steps that we're taking to address those matters. Parent and community feedback is also a critical component of any plan that's done in the district. And we're always looking for feedback from our parents and the larger community. And so we did a survey about a month or so ago, had almost 800 parents that responded, and we'll be looking to seek your feedback here shortly as well in terms of the proposed plan that we're laying out here this evening. Another key variable for us is flexibility and adaptability. We're living in the most transitional time that I've ever lived in terms of education. And as a result of that, we need to have a plan that has both flexibility and adaptability. If we need to transition to a different design overnight, the plan that we're proposing provides that opportunity. And then finally, we have been collaborating with our local school districts, partnering together with them, coming up with as much alignment as we can, but of course, always focusing on what's in the best interest of the Sandusky City Schools. So let me share with you tonight very directly what our proposed plan is to the board, and that we'll be seeking feedback from you on. We are recommending a hybrid schedule for the 2020-2021 school year. The hybrid schedule essentially means that we'll be taking our students and essentially dividing them in half and sending half of the students to school in a face-to-face environment on Monday and Tuesday, and the other half of the student enrollment, student population in a face-to-face environment on Thursday and Friday. The other days that the students are off will be utilizing a digital online version of instructional engagement. Dr. Kate will talk more about the specifics of how that works this evening. Secondly, we are sponsoring a full-time home-based virtual learning option right now. And that information would be on our website for people to respond to. If you are a parent and you're not comfortable with the 2-day-a-week option, and you want to make a decision now to have your child in a full online environment, we have that opportunity available for you in a pre-K through 12 context, and we're excited to be able to offer that. The Board of Education will review and modify our schedule based upon feedback from our community, and obviously based upon health considerations and other dynamics that occur in our district and throughout the state. We're excited to be able to share with you that from a technology perspective, starting this fall, we will be able to provide a computer device for every single student in the district because our plans do include digital engagement. All students will be required to wear masks at all times in the buildings. We will implement the social distancing guidelines of 6 feet. We have a robust, organized, and well-planned safety, sanitation, and cleaning schedule. The start of school, we're asking the board if they would delay the start of school for students from August the 27th to September 3rd. That would allow our faculty and staff and our bus drivers and our custodians and our cooks and secretaries and the entire paraprofessional staff and our teachers to train and to get professional development in preparation for this new normal that we're in. We'll talk tonight about bus transportation and what our guidelines are for transferring students on the bus, and also for the cafeteria guidelines as well. Our school board and our administration is committed to temperature checks, where we want to make sure that on a daily basis, we're checking the temperatures of all the students and faculty to ensure that people are not running a fever and not feeling well. We're encouraging people that if you don't feel well, that you definitely need to stay home for this time period. We're committed, obviously, to ongoing communication, and we have multiple forums by which you can give us feedback, and we'll be sharing out our email and contact information at the end of the meeting. Closing for my overview part, we want to make sure that we understand what's occurring in the life of our kids. And so I look forward to spending a day or so of my own personal time walking through the steps of a child, of what he or she will be going through under the new design, so that we can take care of any gaps or perspectives there. And then finally tonight, you'll be hearing a little bit about our academic and instructional detail around the work. We have a very deep instructional design format that we've been sharing out with our students, with our teachers this week in focus groups and other perspectives. And then finally tonight, I just want to say that we recognize how challenging and how difficult this current time is. And we want you to know that the Sandusky City Schools is doing everything in our power to ensure that there's a safe, balanced approach to the work, and ensure that every kid and every faculty member can come to school in an environment that's conducive to learning. At this point, I'd like to introduce and bring forward the Chief of Staff and Transformation Officer for the district, Dr. Stephen Sturgill, who will provide for you some of the logistics and some of the protocols for daily activity for our school. Dr. Sturgill.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. And again, thank you for being on this community forum. I get to talk to you a little bit about our operational side and what you can expect from safety and operations during the school year. So some of the daily decisions that we'll be making or looking at are around these several areas. One of them is student and teacher attendance, our support staff attendance, substitute fill rate, and our consultation with the Erie County Health Department. I got to tell you, they've been great collaborators with us, and I can't get enough kudos to the Erie County Health Department with their work with our school district. They've been actually fantastic, and they continue to talk with us daily about some of the things that are going on in our district and our community. So thank you again, Erie County Health Department, for your work with Sandusky City Schools. What can you expect for the school year? Well, definitely wearing a mask, physical distancing of 6 feet or more, no assemblies, no field trips, recess with physical distancing, definitely breakfast and lunch for each day for all 5 days, increase in social emotional supports and counseling. What are we doing to ensure that we have things in place for school year around safety? One of the things I'm really excited about is, again, we can't use water fountains. And so we're replacing some of our water fountains with hydro water bottle fillers. So students can use a bottle of water and fill them up when they are thirsty. Also, in every entryway of the school and major hallways, you'll see hand sanitizer stations in every building. We also bought around 53 cases of hand sanitizer for all the classrooms. So all classrooms and offices will have hand sanitizer. We're going to have fold-up portable desktop barrier set for students in the early grades. We purchased masks for all students and staff, and also are purchasing face shields for those students and staff that need face shields. We're purchasing non-contact forehead thermometers for each school. And like Dr. Sanders said, we're going to have a very robust and rigorous sanitizing and disinfectant process in place for each classroom, for each school. And so we're really ready for this school year. So what happens if we have a response reported positive COVID-19 case? Well, if a student or staff member has tested positive, we immediately call the Erie County Health Department. That student or staff is isolated in a room separate from everybody else. If it's a student, we'll contact that family member to come pick them up. And then we start the communication process for the students, for the families, and for the staff. And if the school is closed and we make that decision, we'll immediately move into an online instruction platform. Some of the things that we're working on is how students arrive and how they are dismissed during the school day. Each school will have a plan in place where they have a drop-off and a pickup site for their students, and also for a area for our walkers to enter the building. They probably will be separate because of us doing those temperature checks and monitoring students' health. We need to make sure that they are separated. Student symptom checks are also conducted each morning. Parents, when you send your child to school, you are verifying that you have checked your child for that they're free of COVID-19 symptoms. All schools, again, will have non-contact forehead thermometers. And when they do come to school, we will be checking them for a fever of 100.4. All right. So again, as I talked about, if you have 100.4 degree or above, you'll be isolated from other students. We will have an isolation room. And what you're seeing is that we are prepared for if a student or staff member does come down with the COVID-19, that we're ready to react to it and make sure that every student, every staff member is safe during the school day. All right, let's talk about bus transportation. All right, students, you'll be required to wear a mask on the bus. We're asking that either you wash your hands prior to coming on the bus, or you'll have hand sanitizer prior to getting on the bus. Students will have assigned seats, 2 students per seat. We're asking the siblings to sit together when possible. And yes, buses will be disinfected morning and during the evening runs with a COVID effective disinfecting agent. We will have, right now we have 3 nurses, and we're looking to have more nurses in the buildings. So if a student or staff member has a temperature, again, and you see this various times in this presentation, they will be isolated and checked for COVID-19 symptoms. From there, we're in contact with the Erie County Health Department. We're in contact with the student's family and really working to support that family or that staff member through the process. Very important, families, that this year more than ever, that when you fill out that EMA form, that we're going to make sure that, first of all, every student has one, and then you have multiple contacts on that form for us. Just in case that we can't get in contact with you, we're able to contact other family members to come pick up your child during the school day. So what can you do to help us out? Well, make it a habit to wash your hands several times a day. Before school, during school, after school. Students, we need you to wash your hands, use hand sanitizer. All right. Maintain 6 feet of space between you and others whenever possible. At the bus stop, when you're coming into school, when you're at recess, you got to maintain that 6 feet of space. Wear a mask and physical distance yourself at all times. Check your temperature. So if you, like Dr. Sanders said, if you have a fever or you're sick, we're actually asking you to stay home. You'll probably never hear that again in your whole entire life, but this year we're asking you to stay home. And if you're displaying symptoms of COVID-19, seek medical attention. And if you don't know what to do, contact us. We will help you. We will guide you through the process of making sure that you have the supports that you and your family need, and know the rules for visiting the school. I'd like to introduce Ms. Rosalind Shepard. Real quick, she has about a minute to talk about the Gifted Fine Arts program at our Regional Gifted Center.
Hi, everyone. Glad to be a part. Thank you for allowing me to speak today. I just wanted to let you all know about a program that we are doing with the Regional Center, the Gifted Center here in Sandusky City Schools. We have been working hard this summer to prepare for students who are interested in going into visual and performing arts, as well as creative thinking. And that is a separate track from the kids who are cognitively gifted and academically gifted also. So we're asking kids, parents, if you feel that you have an exceptional child at home who enjoys the arts, the visual and performing arts, and wants to be a part of what we're doing, we'd love to have them be referred. Mrs. Tara Toft is in charge, the principal over at the Regional Center, which is now going to be moved to the Adams Building downtown. And we are looking for kids who just want to be able to be creative and thrive in their own way at the Regional Center. We are asking for our students to be referred, and that referral then leads to an evaluation. We are accepting referrals through the first part of August, and then we will let the kids know when their evaluation will actually take place. You do not have to be gifted in academics to be a part of the visual and performing arts side of it. You do get a chance to learn from a visual and performing arts teacher, but also we have arts integration that comes into our regular classrooms. So you're learning through the arts all day as well as in your regular classes. We also have an art gallery that we're planning there so kids can have interactions with professional artists in the Cleveland area. We are looking forward to having a whole bunch of ideas coming from our students where we can grow. We're going to be also having a maker space, which will be a hands-on learning experience for our students, just trying to get them to understand that their creativity is an asset and it's going to help take them to a higher level in their academics also. So as you see on the screen, there's a QR code that you can look at and scan to go through the referral process, or you can call Tara Toft at the Regional Center. Her number is 419-984-1340 and get more information. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Roz, and appreciate you getting online with us and talk about the Gifted Regional Center program. All right, I'd like to introduce my partner in crime, Dr. Cade, our Chief Academic Officer.
Well, good evening, Blue Street community members and families and friends. First and foremost, I would like to start off by thanking our instructional leadership team, our teachers and our principals for the arduous work that they've been doing to continue around the planning for the restart of school. Our instructional program will be positioned so that we are using Google, whether we are face-to-face or we are at home. And so whether we get closed immediately, all assignments will be pushed through Google. And so technology will drive our instructional program. Students will receive a device, an age-appropriate device. And those devices, in terms of our technology plan, will roll out in August. And so families, you can anticipate that we'll be reaching out to you regarding training. There will be required training for caregivers and students, and a $10 annual fee for the use of the devices. And so as our teachers return on August the 24th, we'll be putting together a staggered schedule to bring families and students in to train for their devices or to make those arrangements for kids to get the device. Whether you're virtual or face-to-face, you will receive a device from Sandusky City Schools. Those training will be focused on Google Classroom, Google Meets. Google Meets is the virtual video capability inside the Google Classroom, ClassLink, Progress Book, and all of those digital tools that you will need to help your child learn at home. We're taking what we're calling a holistic approach to how we're providing support to our staff and students around teaching and learning this year. What does that mean? Dr. Sanders touched briefly on social emotional learning. It means that we'll be engaging young people in lessons that allow for them to talk about their concerns so that we can identify risk factors to refer them for a higher level of support, whether it's a counselor or a social worker. Our student services department will be poised to support kids and teachers and principals and any staff member here in our district that may be in crisis. In addition, we'll be building in some mindfulness pieces into our school day, which will allow for our staff and our students to better manage their stress as we are in the middle of a pandemic. And there's an anxious level for many of the things that we still, so many unknown factors. So social emotional supports for kids and adults as we return to the school year. The senior leadership team is recommending a hybrid model, as Dr. Sanders briefly touched on. And we talked about 2 days of face-to-face instruction in which your children will be using their devices to access lessons through the Google platform in the Google Classroom, whether they're in the classroom or whether they're home. The 3 days of virtual instruction will be a Wednesday that will probably be contextualized, where there'll be virtual lessons, and then there will be some assignments of some digital-based things that students will have. For example, our preschool kids will have access to a phonological reading program that focuses on teaching young readers how to read on an app with the iPad. And so you can expect on the 3 virtual days that there will be perhaps some virtual interactions with teachers, or there will be some assignments on some of the digital-based tools that your child can access at home. In terms of the offering, we have our Sandusky Digital Academy for our students who have opted for online learning for the duration of their tenure with us. We will be offering what we're calling our COVID home-based virtual learning option. Within that option, there will be an opportunity for virtual interactions with teachers for those students and opportunities for those students to use online learning tools. There will be no face-to-face interactions for those students who opt for our COVID home-based virtual learning option, which is 100% virtual, a combination of online learning tools and face-to-face interactions with teachers in Google, which is very different from our Sandusky Digital Academy, in which students are on an e-learning platform, and then there's interactions with their teachers for supports for their e-learning platform and curriculum. As of Monday, July the 27th, we will be posting on our website a declaration form for those families who would like to opt in to our COVID home-based virtual learning option. You will be asked to make a commitment of 1 semester, and we will reevaluate that commitment at the end of the semester. As Dr. Sanders indicated earlier, our Board of Education will be evaluating our educational program monthly to make assessments. Whether we are face-to-face or virtual, our Google Classrooms platform has positioned us with our new technology devices to seamlessly go between face-to-face instruction and virtual instruction. So at this time, I'm done. I'm going to see the team is going to come back up with Dr. Sanders. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sturgill, and thank you, Dr. Cade, for that overview. We're going to spend the remainder of our time answering questions from our Facebook Live, and our communications director, Ms. Pugh, will be sharing those out with us in just a moment. So if you still have a question, by all means, feel free to type it in, and we'll be happy to respond to it. We'll try to respond promptly so we can get as many questions in as we can. I'll guide that process, and I'll either respond to the question or ask one of my staff members to respond. If you want to view the details of our plan that we're discussing today, we have placed the written version of our plan, draft plan, on our website. You can go there now, you can download it, you can go through and see the areas that we've all responded to. And our website is www.scs-k12.net. And if you have additional questions after we're done this evening, we have a 24-hour email response rule in the district. And so you can reach us at that email address, and that comes directly to me at Ask Dr. Sanders. That's AskDrSanders at scs-k12.net. And going forward, we will also be providing a weekly video update to keep you updated in real time on all the developments that are occurring in the district. And then if you have a preschool child or a kindergarten child, kindergarten screening is going on now. If you want to schedule an appointment, please call us at 419-626-6940. That's 419-626-6940. We're still accepting registration forms for both preschool and kindergarten, and we encourage you to register today, and we'll give you a sign for the graduation year of your kindergartner. And then finally, we're always seeking feedback and support, or feedback and communication. And so we will have a parent survey that will be online that you'll be able to respond to, so we can get your feedback on your ideas of our options and perspectives. And that'll be on the district's website. And we'll also be doing some randomized calling throughout the next week or so here, trying to seek your input and participation as well. And as always, you can email me at my office and get that information. So with that, I'll come back and give you that information again at the end of the meeting so you can have the communication. So let's get started with the first question.
Our first question is, are we going to be sending papers out to families with all these details?
Okay, so the answer is we're going to be sending direct mail information with all the details. If you have access to a computer, you can go online and get all the details now of everything that we've been discussing. The presentation we did tonight, we did in about 28 minutes. The other night, we did in about an hour and a half. So we've compressed it a little bit to certainly get out quick information to you, but there will be a way for you to get that information. The other thing we can do is make some hard copies, leave them in the lobby, and try to find ways to get information to you. So we'll make it available in as many forms as we can.
Our next question is the online program taught by our children's respective teachers that they would typically have in the traditional classroom, or would it be different?
Okay, Dr. Cade, you want to answer that one?
And along with that, is the content the same? We've got a lot of questions.
Okay.
So the home-based option is a hybrid in which there will be for the English and the math class virtual interactions with the child's grade level teacher, and online digital-based tools. So it'll be a hybrid of using the virtual interactions through Google Meet, and in addition to an e-learning tool that will craft a personalized program for the child.
So I think the question on that, let me make sure we got the right question. So I think the question was, will the families that select the online option, will they have the same teacher and curriculum that those kids who would do the face-to-face 2 days a week?
So that will depend on demand. So if we have a class full of students, then there'll be a grade band teacher. So they will have their teacher, an assigned teacher to them that will use the district's curriculum, and they will be on an e-learning platform. So it'll be both. They will have the assigned district curriculum for English and math, and then they will be on an e-learning tool for other subjects. I think I got it.
Okay. So I think the advantage that we have in our design is that we're not dealing with a teacher that's online in another state, that there'll be faculty who are here that can assist and help with any kind of questions or issues that may come up. I think one of the challenges that happened between March and June was that parents felt probably a little bit alone, that you were kind of, the teacher and the advisor and the mathematician and the scientist all together. Under our revised plan, which of course includes a computer device to each student, is some customized kind of experiences. And we'll work to try to figure out how to get you the kind of help and support that you need along the way, so you don't feel so lost or independent by yourself. Next question.
Next question is, what measures are we taking to address special needs students who may not be able to learn digitally online?
Okay, great question. Dr. Sturgill, I'll let you handle that one. Yeah, you probably ought to just come up here. Yeah. That way we don't have to keep coming back. Yeah, we can keep, we're trying to practice our 6 feet of social distancing. And so just as a matter of protocol, we're wearing our mask, obviously, in the course of our exchange. When we are 6 feet apart, we are providing the opportunity for those who feel comfortable, they can discard the mask for that moment. But we're trying to just make our way through the mask rules and the social distancing rule to make sure we keep each other safe. Dr. Sturgill, can you talk about the special ed and the protocols for that?
So once the plan is approved, the model that we're going to be using, the Student Services Department, we work with the leaders and the intervention specialists on how to provide the support to the students each and every day. We have different models of delivery to the students, and we're meeting to ensure that all of our students with special needs IEPs are met.
So we have a long-standing tradition in our district of certainly customizing experiences for all students, and especially students who require additional support. And we can assure all of our parents, especially children, that we'll work very closely with you to make sure all their needs are met. Next question.
Will students have to wear uniforms this year?
Will students have? The answer is yes. There are some feedback that we've been getting from different parts of the parent community. And in our best case scenario, we may look to not release, but to relax is the term I'm looking for. That's the term I don't use enough, relax. But to relax some of the rules. What we're trying to do here, folks, we got a lot more things on our table this year than the student uniform component. We want to make it accommodating for parents. And so we'll continue to review that, and there may be changes as we go along. But right now, our school uniform policy is in place, and we'll look to make it as accommodating. We want to focus on as much education and accommodating our needs in the new environment as we can. And we will make adjustments as we need to going forward.
How will students be allowed in the building if arriving to school late and their parents are not allowed to walk their child into the building?
Okay, Dr. Sturgill?
Yeah, they can walk them to the door, and once they get to the door, we'll have staff there to bring them in. So we'll have things in place where students come to the door. Again, there will be case by case scenarios where parents will be allowed in, but we're asking to have no visitors come into our buildings, or limited amount of visitors come into our building. So definitely a case by case, but we're gonna put everything in place to make sure that everybody feels comfortable coming into our buildings. Students will be able to, parents will be able to walk up, hand students to us, and we'll take them from there.
We're going to ask you to work with us on this because this is new for all of us. But you will not have random access to the building as some of us have had in the past, where you can kind of go directly to the room of the child and things of that nature. So we're going to be on a lot more stringent, as Dr. Sturgill was describing, but we'll work with you and accommodate you, but we will have protocols in place that will limit your access to the building. But obviously, if there's an emergency, we'll work with you to make sure we can get your child to you as quickly as possible.
Will students who are going to the school nurse for routine medications or injuries going to the same nursing office as those with COVID symptoms, if any?
Dr.
No,
Sturgill.
if you have COVID symptoms, you'll be isolated. It will not be in a nurse's office. Every building will have a isolation room. That's what we're calling it right now, where a student or staff member that has COVID-19 symptoms will go to, and it will not be the nurse's office.
How are we handling fall athletic events and practices? We have a lot of students who are in multiple activities at one time. If someone were to test positive for COVID, are we letting all families from all the activities they're involved in aware of those symptoms?
Dr. Sturgill.
Yeah, under our current guidelines, if a student, for example, if a basketball player comes down with COVID, we are letting all those family members know that were in that practice or around that area during that time. We are letting them know that they might have been exposed. And actually, we're working with the Erie County Health Department. So if the student is come down with COVID, we immediately contact them. And that's when the contact tracing begins, working with them. We have protocols in place where we document every time that we talk to a student during practice or extracurricular activities during band. We take down the information from that student if they're feeling okay. And then from there, if the student is positive for COVID, that starts the contact tracing, working with the Erie County Health Department. So, we are cognizant of the need to know. We're also cognizant of HIPAA, and there's a lot of privacy that goes with it. So we contact the people that have been affected most with that student and with that program.
I would add to that. Thank you, Dr. Sturgill. I would add to that the Pete Shade and the folks at the Erie County Health Department have been fabulous partners, and they've been very clear that whenever there is any matter related to COVID-19, they will be taking the lead in making sure that those protocols are followed based upon the health standards. So it takes, candidly, a little bit of that out of our hands in terms of how that takes place. Now, in terms of athletics, I'll just mention that, and this is a standard question we've been getting in all of our forums, is the Ohio High School Athletic Association is the governing body that directs athletic activities at the public schools. And so obviously we'll be following their explicit direction and guidelines. And that's what we've been doing all summer when we were not allowed to have any interaction at all, to a time that we are allowed to have interaction now. So a lot of this will change based upon multiple variables, but largely the health dynamics and data points for our county and for our area. And as you probably are aware, Governor DeWine has created a multicolored system that identifies the level of emergency in that particular county. And as you get towards red, and purple is really bad, but as you get towards those colors, the dynamics of the expectations of the public changes as well. So we'll have to be alert and aware of those dynamics. And I should also add, as I did the other night at the board meeting, Governor DeWine could come in at any moment based upon whatever variables he feels are relevant and basically shift the entire dynamic. What we want to be able to do, if that happens, unlike we were as prepared in March, even though we heard rumors that that was a possibility, we'll be able to shift in an overnight format. Flexibility, adaptability, efficiency are key variables of our plan that will allow us to scale up or down at any moment and ensure that the educational component of the child's work continues. We want to be a parent-friendly, student-friendly, customer-friendly educational system, and we want to work with you to make sure that all your questions are answered. And if we need to make changes and modifications going forward, we'll be more than happy to do that.
How often will restrooms be cleaned every day, as well as how will classes be cleaned in between middle school and high school class changes?
Okay, Dr. Sturgill?
Yeah, so every hour, we're looking at cleaning the restrooms during the school day. It's gonna be part of our practice. And then pretty much under the CDC guidelines, after every class change, the room needs to be cleaned. And so we'll be ensuring that it does happen.
How are online students' progress or regression of academics monitored and supported?
So it's a part of our plan. The students will receive a regular grade, as all the assignments that kids receive will be pushed out through Google Meet. Those kids in the COVID home-based virtual learning option, their English and math class assignments and grades will all come through Google. And so their e-learning tools will allow for us to track the report. So you'll see a lot more digital-based programs because we have the devices this year. And many of those programs allow for us to grade within those programs and get reports about how much time kids have spent on those programs and progress monitor kids so that we can have accountability and provide grading. Another part of the plan calls for what we're calling parent academic conferences or talks, in which we'll be contacting and meeting and talking with parents and kids more frequently around their progress. It's just as a regular practice.
Okay, thank you.
How will preschool operate this year? Will they be going 2 days a week, 2 days not, or are they going full time or not at all, since they're half days?
Preschool will go half days, 2 days a week also. We will be rolling out actually a new program for preschool and for kindergarten called a technology-driven program, in which we'll be working with families to train them with some tools at home. So we've purchased some specific digital-based programs for early learners to provide that level of ease at home while kids are home, which will teach them the foundational skills of reading. In addition to, we will have teachers trained that will be training parents on how they can work with their preschool and kindergarten teachers and the iPads that they will receive. We also purchased some robots that will supplement that support for the kids.
While we're waiting on the next question, I want to take just a moment and talk a little bit about our recommended model and kind of how we came to recommend that to the board that we're seeking feedback on. We essentially, like most districts across the entire country, they were looking at roughly 3 kind of forms of delivery. And each district is making decisions on the basis of the priorities of their community. And that's what we want to do here in Sandusky City Schools as well. So obviously the health variables in the area is one of the driving variables that school board members are looking at in terms of determining what model works best for them. The number of cases, the rising cases, or the lowering of cases is one of the key variables, along with the educational dynamics in the district. We have faculty that have perspectives and opinions about a number of things, students, faculty and staff across the board. So the 3 models were essentially this. One is this full-time face-to-face 5 days a week. Then there was this some districts have decided to go totally virtual, where they're going to go virtual in the fall, make a reassessment in the spring, or in some cases, in some parts of the country, some districts have determined we're going to go virtual until further notice. And then there is the third model, which is again based upon your community and certain dynamics, some variation, which addresses parents who have needs and requirements or expectations in multiple areas. And so we felt, given the measured approach we wanted to take, given the dynamics of our community, our administration has recommended to the board this hybrid model that does allow for some face-to-face interaction, which we think is important, and also relies on virtual instructional practices as well. And I want to take a moment just to reiterate the special education component. Dr. Megan Peugeot, who is our Director of Student Services in our district that works under Dr. Sturgill, she has been actively engaged in addressing the special ed population of our district. And we wanted to ensure at a 100% level that students who require special attention, special educational environment, individual educational programs, that those will be followed, that students will have full access and full opportunity. But most importantly, I think this is perhaps the most important part, for special ed kids or any child in the district, we will work with parents to the best of our ability, and a sense of fairness for all parties to provide the absolute best educational environment that we can, so every child has a chance for success. Next question.
Will families with multiple children be able to send their children to schools on the same days?
That's the plan.
Yeah.
So the plan is we get deeper into this, we will look at those family members, have multiple grades, some in elementary, some in high school, and be able to go on those same days.
What about students and faculty and staff even who are not able to wear masks, specifically special needs students who might not be able to wear masks?
Okay, I think we're prepared for the question.
Yeah, it's all a case by case, working with families, and sometimes we know that some students have some of those, I want to say, like asthma, sometimes it could be an issue. So we are purchasing face shields. If that staff member or that student can wear a face shield, we'll have that available for them.
I will add that face shields are more expensive, but certainly we will take the priority of addressing the needs of the student and families as a priority and work hard. I know the board members will want to assure that we will do everything in our power to make sure we address underlying conditions that may exist for faculty and staff, and certainly any underlying conditions for students in our district as well, that we'll be addressing on a case-by-case customized kind of basis. The other thing I want to mention really quickly, Dr. Cade provided earlier, the context of how the Monday, Tuesday block and the Thursday, Friday block. The Wednesday day has multiple opportunities for customized instruction, tutoring support, teacher meetings with students and families, professional development opportunities for all of us. And even myself, I attended the initial elementary grade Google training last week, trying to understand what the Google Classroom environment really looks like, what it means for teachers, what it means for administrators and support staff. And as we transition this year to that platform across the board, it will give us all an opportunity to not only be on the same page, but to communicate at multiple levels within the same system.
Will individual teachers be teaching both hybrid and online only options? Will they be teaching both at the same time?
Designated teachers will be teaching the home-based virtual learning option, which calls for the Google virtual teaching face-to-face interactions and the e-learning and digital-based learning. So selected teachers will be doing that.
How prepared are we to adjust our learning plan based on surges of cases in our community, or if they were to go down?
I'll take that question. I think one of the advantages of the hybrid model to our audience is our ability to be flexible and adaptable at a moment's notice. So if there is an edict or some type of rule or requirement that comes from a higher authority or official, Sandusky City Schools will be very nimble and have the capacity to transition very effectively to any other design. So that's one of the big advantages of the current proposal, is that it allows for that level of adaptability. Now, it's also going to require, folks, I got to be very candid with you, it's going to require us to work together and to be patient with us as you were in the spring. And I should have started the meeting out by saying again how much we appreciate our parents and community who understood that we were all going through this amazing transition together. And you really work with us. You get a lot of questions, which we love, and a lot of questions tonight on Facebook, which we also love. But we'll be very well prepared, very organized, very on top of it, making sure we're meeting your needs directly. And you'll have the opportunity to communicate with not just me as your superintendent, but any of our leaders and teachers, so we can make sure you're getting every single thing that you expect from the district.
When will we know what days our children will be going to school?
Well, one of the things we're doing right now in terms of the timeline of moving forward, we made a very comprehensive presentation to our Board of Education on Monday evening. They directed us at that point to go out and seek additional input, particularly as it relates to the model that we're recommending, model meaning the hybrid model that we're recommending to the board. So that's what we're doing now. We're getting feedback. Now, this forum, as you know, was scheduled well over a month ago. So this was scheduled within the existing timeline of what we were doing. We are advancing a lot of our communication so we can make sure we're getting feedback. So I would imagine in a very short order, we will be settled on the delivery model, hybrid or otherwise, and that at that point, we'll be able to directly communicate with each individual parent and child for their selection and or identification within the Monday, Tuesday A block or the Thursday, Friday B block. And again, as Dr. Sturgill mentioned, we'll work with you if there are unique family dynamics at play that block A or B is more accommodating, and we'll make those adjustments as we can.
Can you briefly explain how we came to these decisions and what parties were involved when making them?
Okay. So obviously, in terms of how we got to where we are now, we ended the school year in early June, and it was most of the leaders in Ohio's perception that we would get some pretty clear, explicit direction from the officials at the state level about how we would proceed for the fall. Once it became clear that individual districts were responsible for determining their own process, we began to put together the framework for that to take place. And so obviously our responsibility is to look at all the variables, put a draft together and get input. So our teacher union, officials, our non-teaching folks, and our parents, we want to engage all of you with a plan that we think is feasible and one that can be implemented. And so our process now is to get that kind of feedback. And I know there's always a debate about how do you get the feedback, when do you get the feedback, and things of that nature. So we looked at data, we looked at systems across not just our immediate region, but across the state and the nation. And candidly, it varies depending upon a number of different variables. I would say on a national level, there does appear to be a correlation between more diverse and compacted communities than those that are with fewer populations, say like in a Montana or something, or North Dakota, where the density of the population is less. And I think the vulnerability of populations, underlying conditions are also variables that play a role in what happens at the local level. So where we're at now is we want feedback on the hybrid model. And as I've said to all my audiences, including the Board of Education on Monday, in a case like this, folks, there will be no perfect solution that will satisfy 100% of the people other than going back to school the way we always have. And right now, there are variables at play that prevents that normalcy of our world from occurring, in my view. And as a result, we need to propose a plan that best meets the needs of all members of our community as best we can. And then, folks, once we proceed, if there is the need to shift that decision. What I like about the hybrid plan again is that it allows for that immediate adaptability and change. But feedback is welcome. If people have other ideas, other perspectives, other proposals, different models that they've heard about or what have you, and you feel that based on those criteria that we laid out in the beginning around the social distancing and the sanitation requirements and things of that nature, I know the board, as well as the administration, would be happy to receive those ideas and include those in our plans.
Where will adult education classes be provided this year? Many of these adult students are employed in healthcare jobs that provide added exposure risks in our buildings.
Dr. Sturge?
Yes, currently adult education is moving to Venice Elementary School, where they'll operate out of Venice School. So they'll have all the programs out of the middle school, and there'll be no interaction between the adults and the middle and high school students.
Adult education, I'll just add, Dr. Sturgill, has been a long-standing tradition in Sandusky, going back to well after the World War II and right around the building of the high school in the mid to late 50s, and the enormous vocational and career dedicated part of the facility of the high school. So the Board of Education remains very much committed. I think for those of you who are considering career changes and the opportunity to engage in some training to get to that next level, Sandusky City Schools Adult Ed program is a great choice for you. And I'm excited about one of the new programs that I know is in the works, which is a barber college, which has been one of the priorities in our community for a very long time. We're looking to put that together for the start of the next academic year, which will be housed at the Venice facility that would provide yet another career opportunities for people in our community. We've got about 3 or 4 minutes left in our 1 hour block. We're going to answer as many questions as we can, and then KK, Ms. Pugh will assume responsibility of all the other questions. We will find a way to post these questions on the website as well, so that if you didn't get a chance to see it, we'll run this on probably channel 76, I'm sure, as well. But we really want your questions, and we will answer them to the best of our ability. So we'll take the last 2 or 3, and we'll try to provide some quick, short answers.
This one's easy. Will our new buildings be open this year?
As my grandmother used to say, Lord willing, and the creek does not rise. I can't tell you how excited we all are about the new buildings. You can't pass by Hayes Avenue without just being mesmerized by an enormous, fabulous facility that will be our intermediate school. Principal Donna Taylor will be leading the effort at that building with faculty and staff, grades 3 through 6. And it is our hope that on September 3rd, we'll be opening that building in a hybrid design, and students in that first A block will be welcomed in that building. And I will say this, teachers are super excited to be able to have some interaction with our students, and we're just very hopeful, and we'll work together, whatever the dynamics might be. We're Sandusky Blue Streak, so we'll find a way to work together to make it happen. This will probably be our last one. Okay, so where she's finding the last question, I'll go over the next steps and how to communicate with us again. And if there's a final question, we'll respond to it. So again, the PowerPoints and the handout materials that we shared out on Monday and again tonight, we're going to have those on our website. So if you're looking for the sort of the written material of the work, that will be posted on our website, and you'll be able to go and find it. Go to www.scs-k12.net. Look under school reentry information, and you'll find it there. If you have a question directly for me or any aspect about anything in the district from A to Z, you can communicate to me directly. And my email address is askdrsanders, that's ASKDRSANDERS @scs-k12.net, and you'll hear directly from me. Each week, look for a video update of this nature. If it's not myself, it'll be one of my many capable staff members who will be on video providing you with real-time updates on things that are going on in the district. This is important. If you have a preschooler or a kindergartner, like the young lady I met at lunch today coming out the building, you can still register through appointment for preschool and kindergarten registration. Please do not wait to the last minute to get that done. Call us at 419-626-6940, and we'll help you with all the registration forms. 419-626-6940. And then finally, the parent survey will be pushed out over the weekend. And if you want to go on our district website, get that survey, give us your feedback. We'll be making some randomized calls as well, trying to get feedback and using any other form of feedback that we can to get your sense of your reaction to our proposal. And if you have other thoughts or observations how we might move forward, we would appreciate it. All right, last question. Two more questions.
What is the cost to taxpayers for your recommended plan? And then are we having a Blue Street?
Okay, great question. Okay, that's my communications director right there. So cost is an important part, and our CFO and treasurer is here and can provide a little bit of context as to what the context of how that works. But obviously, from a financial point of view, we have the funds necessary to implement the plan that will not negatively disrupt the district's work. This is Jeff Hall. Mr. Hall is new to the district the last couple of months, maybe month now, few weeks. Comes to us extremely well qualified as a chief financial officer. We're delighted to have him as part of our Blue Streak family. So Jeff Hall is going to give us a brief synopsis of that question. Hall.
Well, with that introduction, on such trying times, how can I go wrong? But thank you, Dr. Sanders. Just to be actually very succinct, I know many of you might have heard about the federal government as well as the state of Ohio stepping up to the plate to help public schools and private schools. We're also working very closely with our partners on the parochial side as well. You've heard of CARES funding, which is basically an acronym that stands for federal help throughout this time. The Sandusky City Schools is very pleased and very fortunate to have been given the opportunity to receive a grant of upwards of about $1.3 million. I am working closely with the leadership team to purchase all of those things. We already have many of the things in the doors, from hand sanitizer, kind of the easy stuff, all the way to equipment like plexiglass barriers and more of the equipment needs, digital thermometers. We've purchased and are currently purchasing things to be ready to go when school is ready to begin on September 3rd and well before. So the approximate ticket price tag for all these items, it was called approximately $1.3 million. Across the board. All that's yet to be determined, but I can tell you that we do have help, and it's not strictly obviously coming directly from the taxpayers, and we are getting help from the federal government as well as the state of Ohio. So we've been very fortunate to have that grant process afforded to us and to many of the 600 other public school districts here in the state of Ohio. But that's it for me.
Thank you, Mr. Hall. Bottom line, folks, is come September 3rd, when our kids show up, we're going to be ready. And we're going to be excited about them being back with us. And hopefully I know they'll be excited about being with us as well. To the Blue Streak Pride 5K, which has become a strong tradition in the district. Actually met with my team this morning. We're going to be utilizing a virtual Blue Streak Pride 5K this year, which will consist of individuals independently running, walking, crawling a 5K with an app that can track your time and things of that nature. We thought it was important to continue the tradition of that activity, and you'll be hearing more about that in the next couple of weeks. How you can register and still get a t-shirt and still kind of mark your inclusion in the 2020 version of the Blue Streak Pride 5K. It will not be in our traditional format where hundreds of people show up at the stadium and we have a wonderful morning, but it'll be virtual this year, but we'll still have an opportunity to participate. Let me close tonight by just reiterating that if you have additional questions or comments or observations, we are more than happy to respond to those. And if there are additional ones that come in, we'll be responding to those this evening. We've used over half of our time tonight, about 40 minutes of our time, just answering direct questions. That's the way we wanted to frame this particular presentation tonight, because we know there are a lot of questions. Let me close by saying these are amazing times. We are living in amazing times, both educationally, professionally, and personally. Every person in our community has been impacted by this pandemic in ways that very few of us, if any, ever imagined in our lifetime. My message to our Sandusky community tonight is that the Sandusky City Schools stands ready to do our level best, our very best, to educate your children to the best of our ability. We stand ready to partner with you in every way possible to customize experiences, to get feedback, to work with people from all portions of the community to make sure that the 2020-2021 school year is the absolute best year that we can muster based on the conditions around us. We can't wait to get back to our normal processes in our district and in our community, and I know you feel the same way. I want to take this time on a personal level just to remind everyone to stay safe, wear your mask, protect yourself and your family and your children. Let's work together to get this under control. The sooner we get this under control, the better position we're going to be in to have our lives in a way that we've come to expect a little bit more. And finally, we're Sandusky Blue Streaks. We've been in the education business about 200 years now, and nobody does it better than us. And there are thousands and thousands of Blue Streaks out there of previous years that have paved the way for our Blue Streaks of today. We thank you for joining us tonight. We look forward to working with you in the, not just going forward, but in the near and far future of our district and community. Sandusky Blue Streaks, pride, tradition, excellence. Go Streaks. Thanks for joining us.